Hey there, this is Erica from Ever Educating, and this channel is teaching tips, tools, ideas, and resources for new college instructors. A new term has begun, and so I wanted to give you some statements to consider as you start this semester. So keep these in mind, use them for motivation, use them for reflection. They're not necessarily affirmations as such, but I definitely think it can be helpful to really give these some thought throughout your whole term or throughout your whole year. The first statement is, perfect is impossible, strive for what's possible. Okay, so perfect is impossible, strive for what's possible. I think a lot of academics are perfectionists and we want everything to work exactly as we had planned or exactly as we had hoped, and that's a pipe dream, right? There's always things that can go wrong, things that can be unexpected, that can go great, even better than you had imagined. But getting exactly what you think you planned for is going to be really hard as an educator. You never know what can pop up in a class session or in a course. And so don't strive for perfection. What is possible in your given situation? If you can accomplish that, then you succeeded in the semester. The next statement is, give yourself what you need, give your students what they need. And so in this case, it's very intentional for me to put yourself first, right? So if you're not putting yourself first, it's going to be hard to give students, what they need, what they want, because you are struggling so much yourself, right? So I think, a lot of educators, we want to give so much to help our students succeed, and then we just give, and it burns us out before the semester even ends. And so I think if you remind yourself, put yourself first, what do you need to have a successful semester? Do those things, get those things. And now what do students need, right? And then because you are in a good place yourself, then you can give more to your students. So I definitely do think that you want to consider what are the specific needs of your students, right? So get to know them, maybe do a survey at the beginning of the semester, asking some questions about their experiences in your particular course content. But also consider, do you need to have one day where you don't lesson plan or grade? Do you need to, span out your grading throughout a week, or are you better batching it in one day? What's gonna work best for you to have a really great term? And then what do you think your students can use in order for them to have a good term as well, right? So consider what you need, consider what your students need. The next statement is, engagement is motivated by interest, right? So engagement is motivated by interest. So this is for you and for your students as well. So in the case of your students, they're going to be more engaged if they're interested in what's going on in your course. And so potentially you're teaching a course in the major, so you have students who are interested just for that reason, but you might be teaching gen ed, a required course that students are basically forced to be in. So consider ways that you can make your course interesting to your students, because that will help them be more invested in discussions, in the assignments, in doing the readings, and so on. So consider, how can you make your course as interesting as possible for your students so that they are motivated to be engaged? And then in your case as well, so potentially you have some requirements that you have to do in your course, but usually there's some flexibility in what you teach as well. So what interests you the most about this course content, right? Make sure you focus on that, right? So you can be more engaged as well when lesson planning, when grading, when meeting with students, etc. Right? So interest motivates engagement. Number 4 here is, don't compare yourself to others, compare yourself to you, right? Don't compare yourself to others, compare yourself to you. It can be a very slippery slope of imposter syndrome when you're always thinking, oh, well, she did it this way and she's amazing, right? Or he did it this way and students loved it. I can never do that, right? Or why am I not doing that? I did that, but it didn't work as well as when they did it, right? So comparing yourself to others can cause really negative mental ideas to occur because you're really stressing that you're not reaching levels of the others around you, okay? So rather than doing that, I recommend comparing yourself to your own work, right? So last week went well for these reasons, but these areas could have been better. This week went well in the usual areas, and I also improved in that one area that was weaker last week, right? Great job to me, pat on the back, okay? Or this week, I struggled the whole time, right? It was definitely not the strongest week I've had. And now again, reflect. What can I do in my own life, in the work for students to hopefully do better next time? So in that way, you're using yourself as the benchmark, right? Rather than others. So you're in control of what you change going forward based off of your own experience, okay? And some days just won't be as good as others, but a new day arrives, right, every 24 hours. So don't use others for your comparisons. And then experiments can lead to great new discoveries, okay? Experimentation is how I like looking at teaching because, okay, here's a new book I'm assigning, let's see how it goes. Here's a new major assignment, let's see how it goes. So in this case, if you see your course as an experiment, then, well, experiments can go wrong, right? Experiments can go really well. You can learn a lot of new things. You can go off on tangents based off the data you're gathering. I think a lot of academics are familiar with experimenting in research, and so consider having that lens when you're teaching as well. So when something potentially doesn't work as you had hoped or you anticipated, what's an experiment? That happens. Let's tweak it and go forth. So I think if you're someone who, potentially plays it safe, I'll just assign 3 papers because I'm teaching a literature course. Okay, maybe that can work really well, but I kind of challenge you. Is there some kind of other major assignment we can do there that potentially will interest student more, which will lead to more engagement, or might make it better for you in the long run as far as grading goes? So definitely consider how you can make new discoveries in your classroom by tweaking things from the usual that you have as your norm. If you found this video helpful, click like and let me know. If you have your own statements that you recommend, put them in the comments so we can all benefit from them. And subscribe if you don't want to miss out on future content. I'll see you next time.